I overheard my wife call me a complete idiot behind my back, and it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Evelyn's voice, sharp and mocking, carried through the thin walls of our modest Denver home. She was on the phone with her sister, laughing about how I'd fumbled a big presentation at work, how I'd never amount to anything more than a middle manager with a beer gut and a fading dream. I stood frozen in the hallway, my hands still on the doorknob, the grocery bags dangling from my fingers. The woman I'd loved for 12 years, the one I'd built a life with, thought I was a joke. That moment, that single overheard conversation, lit a fire in me, not of anger, but of something colder, sharper. Revenge. I'm Floyd, by the way. I'm 38, a little soft around the middle, with a receding hairline I try not to notice in the mirror. I work at a logistics firm, crunching numbers and dodging office politics. It's not glamorous, but it pays for our 2-bedroom rancher and Evelyn's endless yoga classes. I thought we were happy, or at least content. But that night, her words burned away any illusions. She didn't respect me. Maybe she never had. I didn't confront her. Not then. I set the groceries down, plastered on a smile, and walked into the kitchen like nothing was wrong. "Hey, hon," I said, kissing her cheek. She flinched, just a little, but I saw it. She was still on the phone, giggling with her sister, Clara. "Oh, Floydie's home," she said, her tone syrupy. "Gotta go." She hung up, and we ate dinner in silence, her scrolling through her phone while I chewed on the betrayal. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. My mind churned. I wasn't an idiot. I wasn't some loser she could mock. I'd show her. I'd show them all, her, Clara, and anyone else who thought Floyd was a pushover. But how? I wasn't a violent man. I didn't have the stomach for fists or guns. No, my revenge would be smarter, colder. I'd unravel her world, piece by piece, until she was the one feeling small. The next morning, I started digging. Evelyn wasn't careful with her phone, she left it unlocked on the counter half the time. I scrolled through her messages while she showered. Most were mundane, yoga schedules, coffee plans with friends. But one thread caught my eye, with a contact named M. Just a single initial. The messages were vague but intimate, full of winking emojis and late-night, thinking of you, texts. My stomach churned. Was she cheating? I didn't have proof, but I had a name. Marcus. Her old college friend, the one she swore was just a buddy. I'd always suspected he was too smooth, too charming, with his perfect teeth and gym rat physique. I didn't say a word. I put the phone back and started planning. Step 1, find out who Marcus really was to her. Step 2, make her regret ever laughing at me. I spent the day at work distracted, Googling Marcus on my lunch break. Marcus, real estate agent, based in Boulder. His face grinned at me from a slick website, all white teeth and confidence. I saved his number, his address, everything. That night, I told Evelyn I had a late meeting and drove to Boulder instead. Marcus's office was dark, but his car, a shiny black Audi, was parked outside a bar. I waited, watching. Around 10 p.m. He stumbled out, arm around a woman who wasn't Evelyn. Interesting. I didn't sleep that night. My mind raced with possibilities. Was Evelyn cheating, or was she just flirting with the idea? Either way, Marcus was a piece of the puzzle. And I was going to use him to break her. As I drove home, my phone buzzed. A text from Evelyn, "Where are you, Floydie?" Getting worried. But it was the next message, from an unknown number, that stopped my heart. "I know what you're doing, Floyd. Stop before it's too late." Who the hell was watching me? That text, from an unknown number, burned into my brain as I gripped the steering wheel, the Denver skyline blurring past. It was past midnight, and the streets were empty, but I felt eyes on me. Someone knew I was tailing Marcus. Someone knew I was up to something. Was it Evelyn? Marcus? Or someone else entirely? My palms sweated as I checked my rearview mirror, half expecting headlights to flare up behind me. Nothing. Just darkness. I got home around 1 a.m., slipping into the house quietly. Evelyn was on the couch, curled up with a glass of wine, pretending to read a book. "Late meeting, huh?" she said, her voice cool. I nodded, muttering about a client crisis, and headed to the bathroom to splash water on my face. My reflection looked haggard, like a man already unraveling. I didn't know who sent that text, but it meant I wasn't as invisible as I thought. I had to be smarter. The next day, I called in sick to work and set up shop at a coffee shop near Marcus's office. I brought my laptop, pretending to be a guy working remotely, but really, I was digging. I ran Marcus's name through every public database I could find. Social media, property records, even a shady people search site that cost me $20. He was 40, divorced, no kids, and owned a condo in Boulder. His real estate business was booming, but there were whispers online, disgruntled clients, shady deals. One review called him a snake in a suit. Perfect. A guy like that had skeletons, and I'd find them. I also checked Evelyn's phone again when she was at yoga. The thread had new messages, "Missed you last night," and her reply, "Soon, promise." My blood boiled, but I stayed calm. I forwarded the messages to myself, then deleted the evidence from her phone. I wasn't ready to confront her, not yet. I needed more. I needed to know how deep this went. That afternoon, I followed Marcus again. He met clients at a downtown high-rise, all handshakes and fake smiles. I parked across the street, snapping photos with my phone. Nothing incriminating, but I noticed something odd, a gray sedan parked nearby, same as last night. Same license plate. Someone was following him, too. Or maybe me. My heart pounded as I sank lower in my seat. Was this the texter? I couldn't tell. The sedan's windows were tinted, and it pulled away before I could get a good look. Back home, I started mapping out my plan. Marcus was the key. If I could expose him, maybe catch him in a lie or a scam, I could ruin whatever he had with Evelyn. But I needed proof. I bought a cheap burner phone and texted Marcus from it, posing as a potential client. "Heard you're the guy for big deals," I wrote. He replied within minutes, eager, suggesting a meeting. I set it for Friday, giving me 2 days to prepare. Evelyn noticed my mood. "You okay, Floydie?" She asked at dinner, her eyes searching mine. I wanted to scream, to shake her and demand answers about Marcus, about why she thought I was an idiot. Instead, I smiled. "Just work stress," I lied. She nodded, but I saw the doubt in her face. She wasn't stupid. She knew something was off. That night, I got another text from the unknown number, "You're playing a dangerous game, Floyd. Marcus isn't who you think." My stomach dropped. Whoever this was, they knew too much. And they were watching. As I stared at the text, the doorbell rang. It was 11 p.m., too late for visitors. I grabbed a kitchen knife, my heart racing, and opened the door to find a single photo on the doorstep, me, parked outside Marcus's office, taken that very day. The photo trembled in my hand, a grainy shot of my car parked across from Marcus's office, my silhouette barely visible through the windshield. Someone had been close, too close. I scanned the dark street, the knife still clutched in my other hand, but the night was silent, just the hum of crickets and the distant bark of a dog. Evelyn called from the living room, "Who's at the door, Floydie?" I shoved the photo into my pocket and forced my voice to stay steady. "Just kids pranking," I said, locking the door with a click that echoed in my chest. I didn't sleep. I sat in the garage, the photo spread out on my workbench under the harsh fluorescent light. It was taken in broad daylight, probably from that gray sedan I'd noticed. Someone was tailing me, warning me, maybe threatening me. But why? If they knew about Marcus, were they protecting him? Or warning me off for my own good? The text said Marcus wasn't who I thought, but what did that mean? A cheater? A criminal? Something worse? The next morning, I called my buddy Travis, a guy from work who'd always been good with tech. I didn't tell him everything, just that I needed help tracking a phone number. He didn't ask questions, just told me to meet him at a diner. Over greasy eggs, I slid him the number from the texts. "Can you trace it?" I asked. Travis frowned, poking at his hash browns. "Maybe. It's probably a burner, but I know a guy who can try." I thanked him, my mind already racing to the meeting with Marcus tomorrow. I spent the day preparing. I rented a cheap suit to look the part of a wealthy client, practiced a fake name, Greg, and rehearsed my story, a businessman looking to invest in commercial property. Marcus had taken the bait, agreeing to meet at a swanky Boulder restaurant. I'd record everything, hoping he'd slip up, reveal something I could use against him. Maybe a shady deal, maybe a hint about Evelyn. Anything. Evelyn was home when I got back, painting her nails at the kitchen table. "You've been weird lately," she said, not looking up. "Everything okay?" Her tone was casual, but her eyes flicked to mine, sharp and probing. I shrugged, muttering about work again, but my skin prickled. Did she know I'd seen her texts? Was she the one watching me? I pushed the thought away. Paranoia wouldn't help. The meeting with Marcus went smoother than I expected. He was all charm, shaking my hand like we were old friends, tossing around terms like ROI and prime locations. I nodded along, my phone recording in my pocket. He didn't mention Evelyn, but he bragged about discreet deals for clients who don't like paper trails. Bingo. I pressed him, asking about risks, and he laughed, saying, "You gotta know the right people, Greg." I left with a handshake and a promise to follow up, my heart pounding with the thrill of it. I had something. But as I walked to my car, the gray sedan was there again, parked 2 blocks away. I froze, my breath catching. This time, I didn't run. I marched toward it, ready to confront whoever was inside. The engine roared to life, and it peeled out before I could get close. I cursed, memorizing the plate number. When I got home, Travis called. "That number you gave me? It's a burner, like I thought. But my guy traced it to a purchase in Boulder. Paid cash. No name." That night, I studied the photo again, noticing a shadow in the corner, a figure, too blurry to make out. Man or woman, I couldn't tell. But they were close enough to snap the shot. Close enough to know me. My phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number, "Meet me tomorrow, Floyd. 9 p.m., Old Warehouse on 32nd. Come alone, or Evelyn pays." The text about Evelyn hit like a punch to the chest. Whoever was watching me wasn't just playing games, they were threatening her now. I didn't know if I loved her anymore, not after her betrayal, but the thought of someone hurting her made my blood run cold. I spent the day wrestling with what to do. Go to the warehouse. Ignore it. Call the cops. No, cops would ask questions I couldn't answer, not without exposing my own plans. I had to go. I had to know who was behind this. I told Evelyn I was meeting Travis for drinks, a lie she accepted with a distracted nod. She was cooking dinner, humming to herself, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I slipped a pocketknife into my jacket, just in case, and drove to the warehouse on 32nd Street. It was a crumbling relic from Denver's industrial days, surrounded by rusted chain-link fences and overgrown weeds. The sun was setting, painting the sky blood red, and the place felt like a trap. I parked a block away, my heart hammering as I approached. The warehouse loomed, its broken windows like empty eyes. I checked my phone, 8:55 p.m. No new texts. I crept inside, the air thick with dust and the smell of old oil. My footsteps echoed on the concrete floor. "Hello?" I called, my voice cracking. No answer. Just the drip of a leak somewhere in the dark. At 9:02, a shadow moved in the corner. I gripped the knife, my pulse racing. "Who's there?" I demanded. A figure stepped into the dim light, a woman, maybe 30, with short dark hair and a nervous look. "Floyd," she said, her voice low. "I'm Clara. Evelyn's sister." My jaw dropped. "What the hell are you doing here?" Clara held up her hands, like she was calming a wild animal. "I sent the texts. The photo. I've been watching you." She stepped closer, and I saw the fear in her eyes. "You're digging into Marcus, and you need to stop. He's dangerous, Floyd. More than you know." I laughed, bitter. "Dangerous? He's a sleazy real estate guy screwing my wife." Clara shook her head. "It's not what you think. Evelyn's not cheating. She's in over her head." She explained, her words rushed. Marcus wasn't just a real estate agent, he was running a side hustle, laundering money through fake property deals. Evelyn had invested our savings, thinking it was a legit opportunity. Clara found out and tried to warn her, but Evelyn was too deep, too scared to back out. "Marcus has people," Clara said. "Bad people. They're watching you because you're sniffing around." My head spun. Evelyn wasn't cheating, but she'd betrayed me in a different way, gambling our future with a criminal. And now I was on someone's radar. "Why warn me?" I asked. Clara sighed. "Because you're family, Floyd. And because I'm scared for her." Before I could respond, headlights flashed through the broken windows. A car door slammed outside. Clara grabbed my arm, whispering, "They're here. Run." But before we could move, a deep voice echoed through the warehouse, "Floyd, you're a hard man to find." The voice was low, gravelly, and it froze me where I stood. Clara's nails dug into my arm, her breath shallow. The warehouse was dark, but the headlights outside cast long shadows, twisting across the concrete like fingers reaching for us. "We need to go," Clara hissed, tugging me toward a side exit. But my legs wouldn't move. That voice, it wasn't Marcus. It was someone else, someone who knew my name. A figure stepped into the doorway, silhouetted against the glare. Tall, broad-shouldered, holding something in his hand. A gun? I couldn't tell. "Floyd," he said again, calmer now, almost amused. "You've been busy." Clara yanked me harder, and we stumbled behind a rusted machine, crouching low. My heart pounded so loud I was sure he could hear it. "Who is that?" I whispered. Clara's eyes were wide, her voice barely audible. "One of Marcus's guys. I told you, they're bad news." The man's boots crunched on the gravel-strewn floor, slow and deliberate. "Clara, I know you're here too," he called. "You think you can protect him? You're in over your head." I peered around the machine, catching a glimpse of him, bald, maybe 50, with a scar running down his cheek. He wasn't holding a gun, just a phone, but that didn't make me feel better. He was too calm, like a predator toying with prey. I clutched the pocketknife, useless against a man like that. Clara whispered, "There's a back door. We can make it if we're quiet." I nodded, and we crept along the wall, dodging broken crates and puddles of stagnant water. The man kept talking, his voice echoing. "Floyd, you want to hurt Marcus. I get it. He's a snake. But you're poking a hornet's nest." He laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "Walk away, and maybe you and Evelyn keep breathing." We reached the back door, but it was padlocked. Clara cursed under her breath, fumbling with her phone to call someone, Travis, maybe? I didn't know. My mind was racing. If Evelyn wasn't cheating, but was tangled up with Marcus's crimes, what did that mean for us? Did I still want revenge, or did I want to save her? Before I could decide, the man's phone rang, its shrill tone cutting through the silence. He answered, his voice low. "Yeah, they're here. I'll handle it." Clara grabbed a loose pipe from the floor, her hands shaking. "We can't let him corner us," she said. I nodded, my mouth dry. We edged back toward the main room, hoping to circle around to the front. But as we moved, the headlights outside flickered, and another car pulled up. More voices now, at least two. We were trapped. The scarred man turned, his phone still to his ear, and his eyes locked on mine through the shadows. "Got you," he said, smiling, as a second figure stepped into the warehouse, this one holding a gun. The second man's gun gleamed in the dim light, a sleek black pistol that looked too real, too final. Clara's pipe clattered to the floor, her courage crumbling. I stepped in front of her, my pocketknife laughably small in my hand. The scarred man chuckled, pocketing his phone. "Floyd, you're dumber than I thought," he said. The gunman, younger, with a buzz cut and cold eyes, stayed silent, his weapon trained on us. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking but loud. The scarred man tilted his head, like he was sizing me up. "Name's Victor," he said. "Marcus's fixer. You've been causing problems, poking around where you don't belong." He glanced at Clara. "And you, dragging your sister's husband into this? Sloppy." Clara's face was pale, but she didn't back down. "You're the ones who dragged Evelyn into your mess," she spat. Victor just shrugged. He explained, his tone almost bored. Marcus's real estate business was a front for moving dirty money, drugs, mostly, for some outfit out of Chicago. Evelyn had invested our savings, thinking it was a legit deal, but got suspicious when Marcus pushed her to recruit more investors. She'd confided in Clara, who started digging and got too close. Now I was in the mix, and Victor's bosses weren't happy. "You're a loose end, Floyd," he said. "And I don't like loose ends." I glanced at the gunman, his finger steady on the trigger. My mind raced for a way out. "What do you want?" I asked. Victor smiled. "Simple. Stop digging. Tell Clara to back off. And keep your mouth shut, or Evelyn's next." My stomach twisted. They thought I was just a nosy husband, not a man plotting revenge. Good. Let them underestimate me. Clara whispered, "Floyd, we can't trust them." But I was already thinking 3 steps ahead. I needed time, leverage. "Okay," I said, raising my hands. "I'll back off. Just leave her out of this." Victor nodded, like he'd expected it. "Smart man. Now get out of here." The gunman lowered his weapon, just a fraction, and I saw my chance. I lunged, not at Victor, but at a stack of crates nearby, toppling them with a crash. The gunman flinched, and Clara bolted for the side exit. I followed, Victor's shouts echoing behind us. We burst into the night, sprinting through the weeds to my car. Tires screeched as Victor's crew gave chase, but I floored it, weaving through Denver's backstreets until I lost them. Clara was panting, her eyes wild. "What now?" she asked. I gripped the wheel, my plan crystallizing. Victor thought I was done, but I wasn't. I'd use Marcus's own game against him, expose his deals, his bosses, everything. But first, I needed Evelyn to come clean. When we got to my house, the lights were off, the door ajar. Inside, Evelyn was gone, and a note was pinned to the fridge, "Floyd, I'm sorry." I had to run. Evelyn's note was scrawled in her hurried handwriting, the ink smudged like she'd been crying. "Floyd, I'm sorry." I had to run. No explanation, no destination. Just those words, mocking me from the fridge. Clara stood behind me, her breath ragged from our escape. She knew, Clara whispered. She knew they were coming for her. My chest tightened. Evelyn wasn't just a victim in Marcus's scheme, she'd been hiding from me, from us, all along. I tore through the house, looking for clues. Her phone was gone, her purse too, but her laptop sat open on the kitchen table. I powered it on, praying she hadn't locked it. She hadn't. Her email was open, a draft unsent. Marcus, I'm out. I told Clara everything. You can't scare me anymore. My blood ran cold. She'd been planning to leave him, but why run from me? Unless she thought I was part of it. Clara called Travis, who'd been digging into Marcus's finances. He's got offshore accounts, Travis said over speakerphone. Shady transfers, big money. I'm sending you what I found. The files came through, bank records, emails, proof Marcus was funneling cash for some heavy hitters. Enough to bury him. But Evelyn was still out there, and Victor's crew was circling. I drove to Marcus's condo, Clara in the passenger seat, clutching the burner phone. We confront him, I said. Get him to call off his dogs and tell us where Evelyn is. Clara nodded, but her hands shook. The condo was dark when we arrived, the Audi gone. I broke in through a back window, my heart pounding. Inside, papers were scattered, contracts, fake deeds. And a photo, tucked in a drawer, Evelyn and Marcus, laughing at some bar, dated 2 months ago. Rage boiled over. Maybe she wasn't cheating, but she'd lied, played me for a fool. I pocketed the photo and the papers, ready to leave, when headlights swept the driveway. Marcus. Alone. I hid in the shadows, signaling Clara to stay quiet. He stumbled in, reeking of whiskey, muttering to himself. Damn it, Evelyn, why'd you have to talk? I stepped out, the pocketknife in my hand. Where is she, Marcus? He froze, eyes wide. Floyd. How? I cut him off, shoving the photo in his face. Talk, or I go to the cops with everything. He laughed, nervous. You don't get it, man. They'll kill us all. Before I could press him, my phone buzzed, a text from Evelyn. Floyd, I'm safe. Meet me at the cabin. Please. The cabin. Our old weekend spot in the Rockies. I didn't trust it, but I had no choice. I tied Marcus to a chair, left Clara to watch him, and drove into the mountains. The cabin was lit, Evelyn's car in the drive. Inside, she sat by the fire, her face pale. Floyd, she sobbed, running to me. I'm so sorry. I was scared, I didn't know how to tell you. She spilled everything, Marcus's promises of quick money, her doubts, her fear when she realized his deals were dirty. She'd run to protect me, thinking Victor would come for us both. I wanted to hate her, but her tears felt real. I never thought you were an idiot, she whispered. I was the fool. I held her, but my mind was on Marcus, Victor, the mess we were in. I sent Travis the files, told him to leak them anonymously to the feds. If Marcus's bosses went down, maybe we'd be safe. But as we drove back to Denver, headlights followed us, too close, too steady. The car behind us flashed its high beams, and a text hit my phone. You didn't listen, Floyd. Now we finish this.